wow. It's been a while since we were here together. Yeah, with Nischala there in sunny California, in her California morning, as we are coming into our evening time here. Miracle of Zoom and the internet.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Might just draw us together for a moment or two, and then Annie's going to sing one of our favorite songs. So let's just take a moment to come together in the heart space, inviting us to allow the eyes to close gently, letting the eyelids relax and settle gently over the eyes, feeling that gentleness in the eyes, and letting that gentleness flow down to the hand, and letting the gentle hand meet the gentle heart, feeling the gentleness between the hand and the heart. Feeling that gentleness in your whole body. Allowing it to expand. Allowing your sense of the body to expand. Taking a sweet breath in and a little sigh out. Letting consciousness come to rest in the heart space. Coming home to the heart, resting here. Let's invite one silent Om to flow through our hearts. Let's breathe in together. And as we rest at home here in the heart, I'm going to invite Annie to sing Home is Where the Heart Is.
Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. There's no place like home. Like no place I've known. And I wander round my ups and downs, here and there. I'm going everywhere, and now I'm home. Where my heart is, where my heart is. There's no place like home, like no place I've known. Now my heart is beating it, my breath is breathing it, my life is leading it, my soul is giving it to home. Where my heart is, where my heart is. Home is where the 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 heart is. No place like home. Home is where our heart is. No place like home. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. Home is where our heart is.
Beautiful, beautiful, Annie. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bless you. What a gift, what a blessing. So, we're going to be talking about the 4 locks and keys again. It's been a long time since we started this. And we might be even wondering, what was that? Why were we doing that? What was that for? So probably it's to help us do what Annie was singing about. But I'm going to invite Nischala to remind us why we're looking at them again.
Well, the simple part, welcome everybody, namaste. So beautiful to see everyone. The simple answer, which I said before, we're singing about home is where the heart is, and we're giving you the keys to unlock that. with the 4 locks and 4 keys. So, I couldn't help feeling, it wasn't really a thinking while that celestial song was being sung. It just brought back to me the Upanishad, where it talks about the light in the center of the heart is the true self. And when we come home to that true self, how comfortable we feel, how at one we feel. Any feeling of separateness or alienation just has gone. And I think that song just helped. And I'm sure if the ancients had heard Anna sing, they would have put that in one of the Upanishads also, because it's so beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I think that just to remind us, I think what we've done, and it's all okay, but we've taken certain sutras out and we use them as a whole, and we don't realize where it came from, or more important, where it's going. What does it evolve from? I think when we look at the sutras as a whole, we see it's so beautifully patterned. One follows the next, which leads us into, it's almost like going in these little tunnels. We go through all these little tunnels and suddenly we open up to this vast dome of magnificence. And I think that's what it takes us to. So just to go over just quickly the lead up to this, we look at 130, and it says, perception of our true nature is often obscured by physical, mental, or emotional imbalances. And we know that's, some of these you read and it's like, well, yeah, that's common sense, but we forget. And I know people have come to me and they say, since I had COVID, since I had the flu, since I had surgery, since whatever, I can't meditate anymore. Right? So this is what it's talking about, these things, or I'm in the middle of getting a new job or learning a new instrument or whatever it is. I can't focus on anything else. So what it's saying to us is, this is normal. This is life. This is what happens. And there's ways to get around it. And the expression where you can't go over it, you go around it. If you can't go around it, you go through it. It's just, you find another way. And it says these imbalances can promote restlessness, uneven breathing, worry, and loss of hope. It's like a downhill slope, right? You start with just you're restless, you don't know why, and then you can notice your breathing changing. It's how that's how we identify children when they're in anxiety. We can listen to their breathing. We say, "Honey, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." But can you breathe slower breath? And now tell me what's happening. So we see this in children, but we don't realize it's also in adults, right? It's also in adults. The good news, these imbalances can be prevented from engaging and developing a loyalty to a sacred practice. So, and then we went through kindness to those who are happy. We did that, right? Very important. We're going to come back to that. Compassion for those who are less fortunate. Honor for those who embody noble qualities. And today we're going to move toward equanimity. Ooh, even saying that word, right? Equanimity to those whose actions oppose our values. Right, Padma?
Yeah, that's a really, this is the one that people often get a bit stuck on, because the traditional translation of this, I think it's good to mention it, is it talks about where we've been talking about happy people, unhappy people, virtuous people. At this one, it's in that translation, which is a bit Old Testament, if I'm honest.
Yes,
It talks about the wicked.
the
And
wicked.
what does it
Yes,
say we should do with the wicked?
not only
Disregard.
wicked, but disregard for the wicked, right?
Disregard for the wicked. And this is really hard to hear, I think, and to understand.
Yeah,
So Nischala has got this beautiful refreshing of the meaning of what was being offered here.
well, first let me just say, before our meeting today, and I wrote this book actually twice. I wrote it first in 2008 and then again in 2000, was it 19 or something? So I just thought, let me just go back again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted this. So I looked up certain words and I looked up the word for that everybody's translating either as disregard or wicked or any of that. And I really saw that it doesn't mean what they're saying. It really doesn't mean what they're saying. It's the word is punya, right? Punya. And so it's apunya without that. But punya means to really have a level of regard for somebody, to really hold them in the highest. And then to say apunya, you're just trying to bring in the negative. My question is, why do we have to do that? Why do we have to make the person wrong because we don't agree with them? I think this has our heart closed. So how I translated it was equanimity. Isn't that what yoga is all about? Isn't that what we want? Equanimity. Equanimity to those whose actions oppose your values. So are they totally wrong, or is it something that you feel very strongly about? And they might be totally wrong. But remember the point of this. This isn't to make them right or wrong. This is to keep our mind calm and our hearts open. So this is for us, how we work with us, not somebody else. So that keeping that cool heart, that evenness, that the quietness remains in the midst of all this. And if we let ourselves get thrown by these people, and it's very easy to do. I'm not saying this is an easy one, especially now. Very, very difficult time. And you really want to judge people and you really want to be angry at them for what's happening. But who does it affect? I think that's what we have to look at. The sutras aren't talking about other people. They're talking about us. That if you want to get to the point of yoga and yoke, this is what you have to do. You have to see people in a very different light.
I really like the word that's used there, upeksha.
Yes.
And it's a word that I've come across in Buddhism as well. They use it too. And there it has this meaning of, as well as balance and equanimity, it has a meaning of spaciousness, where there's room for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But it actually does have a meaning of equanimity too. So
Indeed.
where they got disregard for the wicked, I'm just not sure. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the principles. Everything else is in a certain way. It's probably all within the translation. It has nothing to do with the original. And but when we look at this, there's a phrase that I always come back to from the Bible, from the New Testament. And it says, where Jesus says, don't come before the altar until you have made friends with your brother. And this to me is really this sutra, because what does he mean by that? And why was that important? Well, those of us who meditate, and I'm assuming most of you do, you know what it's like. You're busy, and you sit down to be quiet, and all of a sudden everything rushes forward. All the thoughts. He said this, she said this. It's almost impossible to meditate. So what he's saying is, if you have had bad feelings or arguments, or even worse with your brother, and you sit down, don't pretend you're pious at that point. There's something else going on. Make friends first, then sit at the altar. And to me, this is the equanimity for those who oppose how much would I really hate them? But what would it do to my mind? It's like going out and eating a big meal and then trying to sit down for meditation. It's almost impossible. It's the same kind of thing. So this equanimity is such an important one.
Yeah. Can I just say as well?
Yes, please. That's why.
That in the interest of ahimsa for ourselves, sometimes, depending on our condition and everything that's going on with us, sometimes it might be helpful for us to remember, disregard the wicked. Because if we are seeing somebody as wicked, then that is indicating that we have something not right in us that needs healing, maybe. And until that, as Nischala is saying, make peace with your brother. Until you can make peace with your brother and sister and all your relatives within you, and that the emotions and thoughts that are coming up around this judgment you've made that someone is wicked, if that is incredibly disturbing your upeksha, your equanimity, then maybe disregard for a while could be helpful. And maybe there's someone in your life as well that could be harmful to you. And then I would say, get a long way away from them and sort yourself out. That's you need to get a bit closer to yourself here. And then when you come back, when you've rested in your heart for some time, might only be a minute, we never know, can change like that through all sorts of grace mostly, and then come back and see if your reaction to this person or situation has shifted, and that you are now in a more spacious home inside you. Yeah, but sometimes, it's good to remember it as well. But generally, we're not going to do any wicked and disregarding. We're going to do what Nischala says.
Well, it's not just what I say. Patanjali actually said that. And people greater than me, that's for sure. I think you have a really interesting point there, Padma, because when we read a book such as this, it's presupposing that we're at a special point in our life. This is not for thank you. This is not for staunch beginners. It was never intended for that. So what has happened, and forgive my expression, but a lot of it has been dumbed down. And it has been made for Westerners who don't understand some of the broader concepts. I think this is a big mistake. I think we need to give people credit for being those spiritual beings, and that this just woke them up at one point. So yes, sometimes, and there's a lot of people, and in counseling people, which we've all done, sometimes you have to tell people, withdraw, back up from that. I don't think I would ever say to use the word disregard, but I would say sometimes you can't be with your brother, sister, husband, children, whatever it is, for a little while. Go take a walk, take a deep breath, do whatever it is. But to me, when we talk about a spiritual seeker, with all the tools that we have, that when if we need to take the walk, if we need to take the breath, if we need to, whatever it is, we take it with equanimity, because to me, the other is the negative. And if you have to climb out of the negative, you don't immediately go into positive. Sometimes you just hang there in the balance. So I have a hard time making intermediate steps that are not in that direction. So I think it's all individual again. And that's why we're so fortunate these days that we can pick up a book and read it. 150 years ago, most of us couldn't even read, wouldn't even be able to read. So, yeah. So I think that, yes, sometimes we do have to do that. But what is your mind doing when you're doing it? Are you cogitating? Are you making them wronger? Is such a word? Wronger? There is now. That's how I think of these things. At least be aware that you're having to disregard someone because your mind is being disturbed, right?
Yeah.
So we get the whole picture. And in that case, do what you need to do. At least there's a conscious connection. I know why I'm doing this. Not just, he's an awful person, I'm not going to have anything to do with him, right? Which is easy.
Yeah. I think it's really, I love what you said there. I think that's the point at which we can recognize, oh, the war is within me.
Yeah.
And the war is inside me. Now I need to look at what helps me find my peace again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it might be, you might be having an inner war about yourself as well. You might have judged yourself as doing something.
We do, don't we? We do.
We do. And that's probably the one where we are the harshest judges, jailers and executioners for ourselves.
Yep.
I can see people nodding, yeah. So, all the tools that we have for reclaiming the peace, I think that yoga gives us. This is the time when it's really helpful. And for me, the biggest help with that situation is compassion. I don't know about you, Nischala.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just going to tag on to something that you said, which I thought was very important. Well, most of what you say is very important, but this specifically in this way. And that we have to understand it's all yoga. It's all yoga practice. And I think the separation that has come because of our lack of understanding of the depth of the tradition, we have oversimplified it and we have made this a practice, but not this a practice. To me, this is the most important practice, more important than asana, pranayama, any of it, because this is what we use on a daily basis. And this is where we go on a daily basis. So yeah, I think all of it is true. And if we continue to do the work, or I don't actually like the word work. If we do the practice, if we continue to walk in the direction of heart opening,
Yeah.
it does turn to compassion, because what you realize is the person who is causing you the distress is basically unhappy.
Yeah.
So you go back to the part of the sutra that says compassion for the unhappy, right? You know, I made a sutra a few years back. I call it the Nischala Devi Sutra. And it says, it's very simple. It says, happy people do not make other people unhappy. Very simple. Very simple.
Well, they do sometimes.
Well, not if you're really happy. If
They-
you're
Yeah.
a really happy person.
I had a complaint once that I was too joyful.
Well, that's their fault.
Exactly. Exactly. So I did make them unhappy, but
Because you should tell them
their problem.
there's no word for unjoy. There's no such word unjoy. You can be unhappy, but you can't be unjoy. Right?
Good point.
So
You can be joyless.
if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
A really sad word. I feel sad just saying that.
The whole thing is we have to remember, who are these sutras for? They're for spiritual seekers. They're not for people who just don't care and just go by and throw a rotten tomato at you or do whatever. We're trying to be better people here. We may not be doing the great job, but we're doing our best. And then it comes back to compassion. Compassion. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like compassion. And of course, then, if you're compassionate, you're also kind, right? You can't be compassionate and not be kind. That's what the Dalai Lama said. My religion is kindness. He never calls himself a Buddhist. Kindness. So here we are again, over and over and over, finding the same thing. Why are we doing this? For other people? No, for us. For us. So again and again, if there's one more person that's joyful in the world, it's a more joyful world.
Yeah, and a more compassionate world. I sometimes people find it hard to touch a feeling of compassion. You know, they know about compassion, what it means. They get confused with sympathy and empathy and all those different things. And then they get to an intellectual understanding of what is compassion. But in the moment of the disturbance to the equanimity that has been seemingly caused, they can't quite, especially when it's about ourselves, when we're judging ourselves, and they find it really hard to reach that level of compassion, which is really a divine quality, I think. It's selfless love, isn't it? It's unconditional, selfless love, really. That's what we're talking about with compassion. But for me, compassion also has an element of action with it. So for people who do find themselves...
Say more about that, Padma. Say more about
the action. Yeah. I just want to say the other bit first, because I'm likely to forget.
Okay.
So when it's hard to find compassion in your heart, to really feel it in your being, for myself and other people that I talk with and walk with, I also find this helpful, is to go to the first lock and key and to begin with friendliness, and to begin to see, can I find some feeling of friendliness towards this person or this situation or myself? So start with friendliness, and generally you can find that. Usually we can find that somewhere in ourselves, and begin to encourage and nurture and embrace tremendous, copious amounts of friendliness towards them or towards yourself. And pretty soon you're going to get closer to compassion from that. It's going to lead you like a river. It's going to lead you into the ocean of compassion, I would say. So talking about why action for me is part of compassion. I don't know if I can say why. It just seems obvious to me that when you are, with the pain of someone or yourself, you're not in it, you're with it. It seems your heart opens, and it is just natural that a spontaneous action arises of its own volition from the compassionate heart. That's how it is for me. That, yeah.
Thank you.
I think you said something the other day when we were talking on another place on the internet, something about seeing a need and moving towards it. For me, that's the fullness of compassion. Amma Prema's asking us a question here. She says, what about when we're in positions in the everyday world, when we have to make decisions about others, for instance, jury service on a murder where the subject is lying or being in denial, they're causing pain, child abuse, or beating up immigrants who are blameless? What about that? She's saying. Do you want to say something about that?
What about it? What about it? It's
Yeah.
horrendous. What about it?
Yeah, I think she's asking about, this equanimity for people whose values do not match our own.
Yeah.
The fourth lock and key. I think that's what you mean. Yeah, she's saying yes.
Do you want to take it or you want me to do it?
No, you.
Well, again, I don't think it has very much to do with the people. You can be in the jury and you can find the person guilty and have the judge then sentence them to imprisonment for whatever. I think, to me, these two things are separate. Just because someone has done something horrendous, heinous, that doesn't mean they're not still the spirit of the divine. And as a juror, yes, you find them guilty. As a spiritual seeker, you know that this is part of their learning process. And you know that eventually their heart will be pure. It may be a long time, but there will be a purity of heart that comes through. That, to me, is my job. My job is to see, to forgive. There's a movie that I saw many years ago. I can't, the name isn't coming to me right now, but it's about a nun who befriends someone on death row and becomes very close friends with them. And you see how her attitude changes and his attitude changes. You see the change because she went in there with as pure of a heart as she could have come in with because of her years of practice and prayer and meditation and belief that in humanity, that people are basically good. So again, this is not to exclude them or to let them off the hook. That's not what this is about. You know, I've been trained in medicine. You don't go in there and say, I'm going to cut that tumor out. You just go in with a calm mind and you cut it out. So I think this is such a good point, and thank you so much for asking this question, because it really clarifies that this is somebody who's a spiritual seeker that chooses not to disturb their mind while making a decision based on someone else's behavior. And I say this to everybody, I don't condone poor behavior. You know, that's not what I do. But at the same time, you have to look beyond that if you're not going to disturb your mind or your heart.
Yeah, totally. And also that touches on, which I've just forgotten the number of the sutra.
Yeah, let me not go there just this moment. Let me just say one more thing about, you kept on saying friendliness. So I again looked up the word Maitreya. And it means also kindness. Yeah. And that's why the Dalai Lama uses that, because they're expecting the next Maitreya to come, the next bringer of kindness. So I think that's a harder concept. Like, people think friendliness, I can bring a cake to my friend next door. But kindness is really seeing the qualities in them that aren't as bright as others, and yet bestowing that gift on them also, which then leads into what, Padma, you were saying, is if you really practice this kindness and this equanimity that brings us back to compassion, something magical happens. And that magic happens, Sutra 3:24.
That's the one.
By samyama on kindness and other virtuous qualities, one develops the power to transmit those qualities to others. This is what I mean about the sutras. They start you out in one place and then you keep going, because this now is past where it talks about meditation and the depth of meditation that we get into. And now it's saying, if you keep thinking of this and keep doing this, you will get the power to not just be kind yourself, but to actually to transmit it to other people. I think this is the most extraordinary thing. Don't you?
Yeah. It's the magic of yoga, isn't it? That this happens, that we actually become it. Yeah. And it shares itself through us without us even knowing. I always love that. There's a beautiful story of a really good person, you know, holy person or whatever, but let's just say a very compassionate and kind person. And wherever they walked, they didn't want to know any results from what they were doing or any praise or anything at all. They wouldn't even see it if you gave it to them. But wherever they walked, behind them, in their footsteps, flowers bloomed. And I love that. I think that's absolutely what happens with this, that without us even knowing, love becomes us. Love really awakens as itself in us, I think. And that is shared with all. That shares itself. We can just relax and be on holiday, because the work, if you like, the practice is being kind. Yeah. Which means, like Nischala said, I could take them a cake. How about if you didn't have an unkind thought or word towards them? Actually, that's kindness. Yep. That's kindness, yeah. And it's kindness to you, and it's compassion to you too. And I have one little practice around this. I've offered many times before, I've mentioned it before. When you become aware of those, the more you go along this path, the more you're going to be aware of those things that are not in harmony with this, that still might come along, float past your mind's eye. You can feel it coming. It's an unkind thought about somebody. And you're aware of it enough through your practice and your abhyasa and your vairagya, your practice and your non-attachment. You become aware of it, and you don't act on it. You say, I see you. I'm not going to do anything about you. I'm going to bring you into my heart. And the divine light of your heart transforms it. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a very simple practice. It's the practice of Saint Teresa of Lisieux. I didn't invent it. But it's
Simple enough, you could have. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. Well, it's not quite her practice. I've kind of adapted it for heart practice. She would offer it to Jesus. Well, she would. But for me, that divine quality is in my heart. So I offer it there. And turns out the same thing happens. So, yeah. So time is rolling on a lot. Thank you for
let me just say one thing before we go, because I think it's a hint how we can begin to cultivate this a little bit more. And that is, find someone who has those qualities and walk in their footsteps. And if you can't find a human being on this earth that's like that, pick up a book of someone, biography of a great saint or a person who's done something extraordinary, Albert Schweitzer, Albert Einstein, Mother Teresa, and just immerse yourself in their world and how they lived. And that will help remind you how to get compassion and kindness also.
Yeah, or come to Assisi with us.
Yeah, there you go.
Be with St. Clare and St. Francis. Yeah.
How could you miss this duo, right?
or I would say, have a dog. They will teach you all about this every day.
They're a little too forgiving. You need a person that's going to fight back a little bit.
I disagree. A dog is going to show you exactly how to be love. Yeah. Anyway, we better not.
So find something or a book or someone or a dog or a cat. Don't forget cats.
Yeah.
Dog,
or
bird,
a flower.
fish, whatever reminds you. That's the most important.
That's the thing.
Whatever reminds you.
Yeah. It can be a flower, If you get engrossed like I do by the beauty of a flower, I just fall into them, and it's so beautiful. And then you realize it's just being beauty and pure beingness. And it's not saying I'm not as beautiful as that one, and that one is not as beautiful as me. They're not doing any of that. None of Mother Nature is doing that. Annie's put Georgia O'Keeffe. Why is that, Annie?
Because of the beauty of her paintings and her flowers.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, paintings. Yeah. Anything that opens your heart, I would say.
That's what the last part of that sutra actually says.
Go for it.
33, where I got it. Sorry. I lost my place here, but it says, here we go. Here,
got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. These balances can help prevent from engaging by developing loyalty to a sacred practice. That's what we want to do. Develop loyalty.
Yeah.
All the locks and all the keys in the right place, and you'll have peace.
And I just want to mention 139, which says, or if all of this sounds too much, Patanjali always gives an or. And he says, or
Dedicate your anything.
or dedicate yourself to anything that elevates and embraces your heart.
But make sure it does. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And your heart's your guide. Yeah. So
Hey,
time has really run away.
thank you.
If it's okay with everybody, I'd like to invite Annie to sing a very special song now, which is called The Heavens Cloth. And it's a song version of a poem by W.B. Yeats. And for me, this really touches what we're talking about. So thank you, Annie. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear me okay? Okay. So this is, as Padma said, this is a love song by wonderful mystic W.B. Yeats. And for me, it kind of encapsulates the universal heart in human form, if that makes sense. So here are the words, and I sing it in the Shannog style, which is a traditional way of singing. It's Irish, being Irish. So the Shannog way of singing is unaccompanied, it's a cappella. And basically what you do with the Shannog is you go into every syllable, every word, it's like you go on a cosmic journey and you just bathe in the words, in the sentiment. So I hope I can do it justice. Bear with me. So from our beautiful mystic, trying to encapsulate that love. Had I the heavens embroidered cloth and wrought with the gold and the silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark light of the night, I would spread my cloth under your feet. Ah, but I, being poor, have only my dream. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, my love, for you tread
on my dream. Tread softly, my love, for you tread on my dream.
Ah, honey, it's so beautiful and so perfect that probably we all can remember that, to tread softly, because everyone has dreams and maybe we're stepping on them. So tread softly, and that's compassion, isn't it? That's compassion, kindness, unconditional love. Yeah, no words to thank you, Annie. Thank you so much. And just to seal our heart's prayer in this way, I'm going to invite Isha to sing our closing prayer song. May all beings dwell in the heart. So that's all of us. Yeah. Thank you, Isha.
May all beings dwell in the heart. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be healed. May all beings know their wholeness. May all beings be happy and at peace. May all beings dwell in the heart. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be healed. May all beings know their wholeness. May all beings be happy and at peace. May all beings dwell in the heart.
Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you, Isha. And thank you to every beautiful heart that's here with us tonight and this morning in California. Huge thank you to Annie, and always to beloved Nischala Joy Devi
And to Padma Devi.
To all of us, yeah, to all our beautiful. Hi, you know, the light in me adores the light in you. The light in me adores the light in you. That's it. So thank you.